Perhaps one of the greatest joys in life is when something that you really didn't expect to happen, happens, such as the arrival of the Transformers Studio Series Wave 2. And we're going to start things off by taking a look at this guy. It is their deluxe class rendition of the Movieverse Autobot Jazz. And he's going to be our focus in the latest GotBot True review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, I appreciate you dropping by. Please like, comment, share, and of course subscribe. Stick around, have some fun with us, check out the channel, see what it is that catches your interest. There's a lot of stuff to explore. Have a look for me everywhere. Check out Machinery of Man, the Everything Factor, and Transformers Collectors NL. And we have Jazz. Seeing this guy, the first thought that comes to me is there any wonder that he got ripped in two by Megatron? He's so cute. He is teeny tiny and adorable. But I honestly think that next to the Human Alliance Jazz, which I think most people would agree is probably the best one that we've gotten, at least so far, I think that this guy might top the original deluxe class mold. Yes, that mold was bigger, but I don't think any of the decos or coloring that it ever had was quite as good. And I never really liked the whole like trunk shield thing. And he didn't have his crescent cannon. This guy does. For as small and compact as he is, I think he scales fantastic. And I absolutely love that he's been pretty much given a bath in silver. Whether that's silver plastic or silver paint, I'm still not sure, but I know that it looks glorious. And speaking of this guy looking glorious, enough of me babbling on, let's head over to the table and take a closer look at him. And here we have Studio Series Jazz. He is number 10 in the line, part of Wave 2. Before we get into him, a couple of shout outs here to Rudy Zizu, Fireblaze, Bobby Trentham, James D, Augusto Matos, I'm not sure, I'm sorry if I mispronounced it, but thanks for, kind of joining us here on the channel. It is greatly appreciated. We're going to start off and take a look at the box for this guy, as we always do. And it's a box. We have some artwork of Jazz here, and his face on this side. Over here, we have nice artwork on that side. Of course, the product shots here on the back, and it says Autobot Jazz, like, brings all that he has, to combat the Decepticons or something like that. Like, that's it. That's the dude's bio. That's it. Oh, we have instructions, and they're all right, actually. They're pretty decent. He comes with his crescent cannon, and I like the sculpting. I like the silver paint on the front. On the back here, this little lip is what allows it to connect to vehicle mode. There is a handle for him to hold on to, or you can fold this like this, and there's another little space right here, and that can go over a little nub where his hand was. We'll see that later, but or I guess you could leave it out, and if you didn't want him to hold it in his hand, you could still use the little nub in the back. Whatever, this is kind of versatile. I dig that this is with him. We have our display base, which again, it's nice if you have the room for it, and you could of course take Jazz if you have the space and put him in there, and like that looks just Jim Dandy now, doesn't it? And of course we have the beautiful yet itty bitty Jazz. And like I said, you could very easily take his crescent cannon, use the peg that's there, it can go in that hand over here. I don't know if I would do that though, because that's a small hand. I wouldn't want to break something. So you can use the rectangular peg at the end here and come to this arm. I guess you could do it on either arm, but I think the instructions say this one, and you can fold this hand in, which is a weird shape in and of itself, and there's a little nub there. You can straighten this out, I guess, and put it on over the little nub right there, and there you go. That's great, wonderful, just great. So we'll take that off, and we have Jazz here. We're going to see just how itty bitty he is. I'm going to do a couple of size comparisons now. I'm going to back things up, and we'll see him against kind of a cavalcade of figures. And here he is next to my custom leader, or Legends class, sorry, Braun. Just so you can see, you know, how he compares to a Legends class figure. I looked at Braun in episode 270, and like, I mean, you can see that he's a small deluxe. Taking him out of it, here he is next to Studio Series Ratchet, another deluxe class figure, and Ratchet is significantly bigger. I looked at Ratchet in episode 405. And here he is next to the Fall of Cybertron Jazz and the Power of the Primes Jazz. And he is, of course, the smallest one there. I looked at the Power of the Primes Jazz and the custom work I did on him in episode 342. I looked at the FOC Jazz a long time ago in episode 103. And custom work that I did with him in episode 271. But you can see, you know, he's a small deluxe class figure when put next to a lot of common figures that we all kind of know round about the size of. But that does not mean that Studio Series Jazz is a bad rendition of the character at all. As a matter of fact, I would say this is one of the better renditions of movie Jazz that we've gotten. The original deluxe class version, it's fine, it's great, it's certainly bigger, but I never really dug having the kind of end of the car and trunk like as a shield. It looked good, but it wasn't quite there. The Human Alliance one, obviously, that thing is probably the best one going, but doesn't really scale with anything that isn't Human Alliance. It would be too big. I think this scales well. Jazz wasn't large in the films. I think it scales well. I think that it captures the essence of the character. In terms of paint apps, we have silver all over them. I'm not sure if it's paint or if it's silver plastic, but it looks like movie Jazz. Hands down. Enough that I'm going to say this is easily a 9.5. There are places we could have had a little extra paint or a little extra detailing, but it's easily a 9.5 for movie Jazz. Yes, he does have a backpack. That's probably unfortunate. It would be nice if another piece of it could fold up or something, but then we'd have more panel lines and whatnot, so it's a bit of a trade-off. It does not really get in the way of anything, so I'm actually kind of okay with it. It doesn't really bother me. I like him. So that's a strong start, 9.5. What about his articulation? In vehicle mode, he rolls pretty good. It's not bad. In this mode, it's good articulation. It's just a couple of little odd things. So at the top we have the head. Now I do find that because there's a space behind the head, that the head likes to push back into the body a little too easily for my liking. It does go left and right, but I do find that it may very well get caught up on some of the, I guess, molded in detail, like kind of around his neck and collar. The shoulders, they can go way out. Now there's a hinge in here and then another hinge. There's two hinges here, and it's weird the way that it is, but you know, it does give you a nice, you know, shoulder range, so that's good. Bring those down. We have, well, elbows to 90 degrees. We don't really have a dedicated bicep swivel, but the elbows are on a ball peg, so you still kind of get that fake bicep swivel. You know, he can get across his chest, no problem. You would think that that would get in the way, but it really doesn't. The hands, they can go forward and back, like they can both wiggle forward and back. His hands are asymmetrical. This one over here is kind of rounded. This one's a bunch of like pointing fingers. I don't know. It's weird. It's effective, but it's weird. Waist, no waist on the guy. The legs can do full splits out to the side. They can go all the way forward actually, kind of nice. It can go back now. I mean, if you get the backpack out of the way, the legs, they can go all the way back. We have a nice knee to 90 degrees. We have a thigh swivel. We even have a heel spur. It can move. Not that you would really want it to go up, but it can. And we have, I guess, technically, ankle tilt. Now, it's a bit weird because it kind of takes his shin with him, but, like, it does help in his stability. And I think it's kind of especially important that we have the heel spur and the ankle tilt because his actual toes are almost non-existent. They're really small. But nevertheless, it's mostly effective. I would say his articulation, because the head has a bit of a hindrance, and because he doesn't have a waist, and because the shoulders are weird, they're effective but weird, I'm going to say his articulation is about a 7, maybe a 7.25. He was getting a 9.5, now a 7. At the moment, he is somewhere around an 8.25. Not too bad. Not perfect, but not too bad. That being said, arguably, though I said 9.5, there are those who, because of his size, will score him down. I think the scale is right, so that's why I went, you know, with the score that I did for that. 8.25. I like Jazz. I really do dig him. Let's get into the transformation. It is interesting. We have a small robot here, and everything very much compacts to give us a very small car, but it's a cool looking car. That's the key, man. And the transformation is interesting. Very interesting. Not always the easiest, but interesting. I hope I can show it all to you. Some of it, because this guy's so small, yet intricate, is a little hard to see, so we'll see how we go. We will see how it goes. Easy things first. Head goes back into the body. We could straighten up the arms and peg those in, and we can fold in the hand. Fold in the hand, straighten up the arm, and we do have a little rectangular peg there that goes in just behind there to hold it in place. Then we can come to the front and pull that center section out, or you can do this last if you want. I do it now. Turn it around, push it back in. By the way, before I go on, a lot of people have said there's a lot of, like, you know, gaps and spaces left after you get this guy done. I've done him a few times, and I haven't had gaps and spaces a couple of those times, and I have had gaps and spaces a couple of those times. I really think that whether or not you get that depends on two things. One, the tolerances on your individual copy of the figure, but also kind of your luck with transforming him. If everything is, you know, if the stars line up just right and everything is just perfect, he will end up going together just right. If everything's not just perfect, you may end up with a couple of little gaps. So we'll see how it goes this time. But it can be done. That's all I wanted to say. Okay, so we have all of that done. We can pull out the backpack, and if you haven't already, you can, although I think mine is done, is it? Yeah, mine's done. If you haven't already got this piece straightened out, you can do it now. And kind of just leave that behind for now. We want to bring his shins all the way down, fold his heel spurs up, and if I can do this, there, and fold the whole, this black hinge in here, all folds forward. This tire piece and the wheel well comes up on the side of his leg, and then his shin goes up kind of over the body. These don't peg together or anything, but they're not going anywhere. And trust me, they will be solid in the end of this. Okay, so now we have all of that up. The whole body needs to come unpegged. Now there's a little, on the side right, maybe if I can get this arm up by the way. On the side right here, there's a little kind of hook piece. And that's on both sides. You need to get that off. It is a bit trying. I find if you can get one side off, the other one tends to come off no problem. So I kind of just angle one side up a little bit, Okay, so now that we've got that done, we can straighten the body out, and really all you're doing is accordioning the whole thing down, and we can take the front of the vehicle and swivel it all the way around. I think that's brilliant. I really do. I absolutely love it. Okay, now this is where you need to start to get very specific with this guy. One, the hood and the front of the car needs to be perfectly aligned. That can be a bit tedious. Two, we need to collapse the body, and when you collapse it, you're collapsing a couple of hinges here. Then you have a little peg here and a little peg here. They go into little slots up here and up here. It is a bit of a chore to push those in. Little bit of a chore to push those in. So I'm going to try to collapse things here now. And we'll see if I can press those in. A lot of times I find it's easiest if you kind of do one leg at a time, as weird as that sounds. And then this one over here. There. And we push the legs up if they weren't already in. Okay. Then we have the arms to deal with. And you can pretty much guess how this is going to go. You have the arms on the sides, they're going to have to collapse in, and then we have a little tab up here that goes up into a little slot up underneath right there in the clear plastic. So we take this one, and again, like, I can't really tell you how to collapse the shoulders because it's just those weird hinges. There's a hinge deep inside, and that's the one you need to collapse. And when you collapse it, you have like a little rounded section there. You want to get that kind of in underneath too. It's a lot to line up. I'm not going to pretend that it isn't. There. So I got that arm in, and now this arm over here. Do the same thing. So I did have to fiddle with the door on the other side slightly. Now that we have this in, we should be able to just push this piece up and into the slot. I do hope. Here, I got it on this side. I got it on this side, no problem. Go figure. And now on this side. And this is always the side that gives me a little bit of grief, to be honest with you. And after a little bit of kind of squeezing everything together, here we have Jazz in his vehicle mode, and I absolutely dig it. About the only thing that I suppose could be added would be silver on his wheels, but I mean his whole body's silver. I don't know if that would be kind of too much silver. The only thing left to do, and by the way, he does roll beautifully. I think this looks great. Now we do have to store his crescent cannon, and I mentioned to you earlier about the little lip. The little lip just goes over his spoiler here. I love the look of this. After we slap that in there and it kind of tabs in place, I don't like the look of that. That's just terrible storage. But, you know, hey, robot in disguise, right? For the size that this guy is, his transformation I think is a 10. I think it is fantastic. Now, that being said, to be fair to those who say, hey, I have, you know, spacing issues and gappage and whatnot, that can happen if everything's not absolutely perfect. So because I know that that can be a headache to some people, I'm going to drop it to a 9.25. He was an 8.25. I'm dropping the transformation to a 9.25. Overall, Jazz is at 8.75. He's strong, he's good, he's not the standard of the entire line, but you know what? I dig him. I dig him more than the original deluxe class mold, even though this is smaller. What can I say? I think he's another winner in the Studio Series line. And here we are once again with Jazz. He has Pretty excellent articulation, though the shoulders are kind of strange. And he does, you know, make a compact robot and a very compact vehicle. As for whether or not you kind of, you know, suffer the issue that a lot of people have had with, you know, kind of gaps between the doors and whatnot, I think that really depends on two things. One, your version of the mold and its tolerances, and two, how lucky you are. Like I said, sometimes I have converted this guy and he's been seamless, or as seamless as these get. Other times, not so much. It's kind of luck of the draw. I like him. Yes, the backpack is kind of large and egregious, but it doesn't really get in the way of anything, so I can sort of forgive it. Would it be nice if there was a way to fold this one piece up? Maybe, but then we would probably have another panel line there, and who wants that? The shoulders are odd, but the articulation is great. The vehicle mode looks really good. Overall, I'm actually impressed with them. Sometimes great things come in small packages, and Jazz is a perfect example of that. Let me know what you think about this guy. Outside of that, I thank you for dropping by, for giving me some of your extremely valuable time. Please hit that subscribe button, stick around, like I said, and have some fun with us. And I very much look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit right here inside the videos.